Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Mark My Brain. It's been a while. I took a little break over the Christmas holidays. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And now I'm back, hopefully with renewed energy and inspiration in this new year. So let's dive into today's topic, which is journaling. Hopefully, everything about the journaling. Uh, the specific questions I would like to ponder in today's episode are what the journaling can be, how can you approach it, and how you can make the process of journaling your own, why it can be beneficial, and last but not least, how did journaling impact my own life. Again, as usual, I will try to combine more objective facts and truths with my own experience. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so journaling. The basic of journaling is that you are writing something in a journal. I think we can agree on that probably. But I think that from there, it branches out into so many different directions because it matters what you write about, how you write about it, and also why you write, at least from my perspective. I think that journaling can take on many forms and can have many goals. For example, you have your daily journaling, making a report of the day, summarizing everything, what happened, how your day went, etc. You can try to put emotions on paper. You can try to think a problem through with the help of your journal. It can help you achieve your goals in some way because by journaling you can try to foster motivation, to remind yourself of your priorities, for example. And of course, it can also be a creative outlet, I think. So, as you can see from the get go, there are so many different things that journaling can be. And I would say that basically it's up to you how you choose to approach it because I really think that journaling is a personal process, something that you make your own, and there then you can find all the benefits. And especially nowadays, with all the different tools and materials online, offline, you can really personalize the process of writing a journal. It doesn't have to be dull, it doesn't have to be boring, it doesn't have to be a chore, you know. I really believe that everybody can find something for themselves there. Uh, but I think that often when people hear the word journaling, they automatically connect it to the most basic form of that activity that they know maybe from high school. Just every day writing, "Dear diary, today I did this and this happened, da 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 da," and that's it, and most people don't look further. And I don't want to, belittle this form of journaling, but my hunch is that most adult people don't really need this, or it isn't as appealing to them as, for example, for people in high school or whatever, But you can for sure find other benefits in journaling if you try on different approaches, which I highlighted. The benefits, what maybe some of the people don't see when they automatically throw journaling into the category of a boring dull activity for high school students, is that I really think that putting your thoughts and emotions on a piece of paper, can help you gain a new perspective. Because when you put the words on the paper, you at least partially detach yourself from what you are writing. So, for example, it allows you to see your emotions and the problems you are trying to solve and situations you find yourself in. It can allow you to see them from sort of a third person point of view, and that can really bring a new perspective, um, but not only in the objective sense of the thing, not just, I am having a problem, I need to look at it from a new perspective to solve it, but also from the emotional perspective, that if you do this, if you put your emotions into the journal, again, you sort of detach yourself from them. So then you can find, I don't know, reduced stress or reduced anxiety. It can help with some mental clarity. So I think you can find, uh, you know, objective, sort of productive benefits as well as emotional ones when journaling. Not only have I found that journaling lessens the emotional impact of the things I write about, but it usually can also truly help me solve them, the problems, the situations. Um, as I highlighted before, and maybe what sort of ties into the more productivity side of journaling, I think journaling can also be used as a tool to achieve goals. You through writing and putting sentences together on a piece of paper, you remind yourself where you are going, how is the journey going, what progress have you made in relation to your goals, and what you need to do next, for example, of course. Again, this can, I feel, offer sometimes a new perspective. But also, especially with goals, I have found that if you write it down, it sort of binds you, and you are then more compelled to actually do the things you set out to do, because you write it down and was written is set. So, I don't know, maybe it can help you find motivation. And what I really love about journaling is that it is sort of, I would call it a quiet activity. In today's world full of distractions competing for your attention, it allows you to sort of breathe without pressure and brings peace to the fast pace we are used to living our lives in. Uh, Maybe in that sense, it's sort of similar to reading or meditation. So yeah, that's also another aspect of journaling I really like. So so far we have highlighted, several approaches how you can approach journaling. That you can have very different goals when you sit down with pen and paper. Uh, the forms, the goals can be different, and from that also derive the benefits that you can find in it. I really think that the main benefit that usually comes with the journaling, no matter the form, is the new perspective sort of thing, which I think can happen on an emotional as well as productivity objective level of things. And yeah, this activity can also offer a sort of change of pace in your everyday life, a moment to relax perhaps. Now I would like to tell you a little bit about my own journey with journaling, and see if we can perhaps draw some tips and tricks from that. So I started journaling during my teenage years when I first became interested in the whole self-development sphere or topic. And back then I didn't know too much about what I was doing. I just, I just heard that, journaling, it's good for you. It increases productivity. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. But because I didn't know what I really was doing, so I reverted to the original thought, or what I thought journaling was, just, summarizing the day. The form I talked about, like dear diary, today I did this, this, this. and without sort of any additional purpose. And although it can be nice, I feel like for me it very quickly became dull because again I didn't find any additional benefits, I guess, in it. So I tried to reform the process and then I made it all about productivity. I was just writing about my goals and how to achieve them. And this gave my journaling a more specific purpose, which was something I liked before. And that was very nice. I enjoyed it for a while. But unfortunately, writing in this fashion became sort of a bit of a chore, I must say, especially because I often wrote about very similar things, because often your short-term goals support your long-term goals. So in many ways, you're writing about habits or things you do repeatedly. And again, that after a while, I thought or felt like it lost a purpose, maybe. So I stopped for a while, didn't know what else to do, but journaling was still in the back of my mind, and I eventually wanted to get back to it. And then the opportunity arose after I finished reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, which I personally think is a brilliant book that not only gave me inspiration, but also much food for thought, and I recommend anybody to read it. But regarding the process of journaling, what interested me a lot was the way Marcus wrote, which is in a second person. So all the entries, sort of took form as if you were giving an advice or scolding, sometimes, a good friend. And I really like this approach, so of course I had to try it for myself. I also began writing not only about my goals, but also about difficult situations I might have been in and problems as well. And all of that in the second person. And this has worked for me very, very well. And now for a very long time. And I find that I sort of found myself in it. I could say maybe. I feel that it gives me exactly what I want from journaling. My entries have some purpose. I write about what happened in my life, so it's always relevant, but I am not tied to strictly one topic, for example, goals or just what happened in that day. I sort of loosened this grip, and it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. Yeah. And in the future, I would like to focus maybe more on positive things in my life when journaling, not only the problems, because I think that can often happen that you remember about journaling only when you are going through something, maybe, or you have some problem you want to solve, or you want to get something of your mind, which is usually something heavier, maybe negative a bit. So that's when you open the journal. But I would really like to make it more balanced experience in this regard. And I've actually recently experimented with gratitude journaling. And although it felt a bit strange from the beginning, it's actually pretty lovely. So maybe you can try that as well. So yeah, I think you can experiment with the form, the content, and of course the time, or schedule, when or how often you write. I remember when I began writing, I really made it like a daily habit, but now I don't really have a strict schedule. I think I write like once every week, maybe 2 weeks. Sometimes I make a summary of something or what happened. Sometimes I write about one little specific thing. And for me, because I like things to be a bit more dynamic and flexible, that works very well. So again, don't be afraid to experiment with anything about when it comes to journaling. I really think that you should make journaling your own. I have tried to emphasize this point during this episode. So I'm telling you again, try to make journaling your own. Try to transform the process into something that you first enjoy doing, but also maybe something that is beneficial to you. Try things out. Don't be afraid to experiment or change things once in a while. And at the same time, don't be afraid to take inspiration from others. Sorry, journaling is not a competition, so allow yourself to learn from others. Try different approaches, maybe something you see online or hear about when talking about it. Just it's not a competition. Just again, try things out. So at the end, journaling is a very personal process. You are usually putting your thoughts and emotions on display, even if you aren't planning on showing your journal to anyone. Sometimes that can still be almost scary, I would say. But I believe that because of that, it can also be very liberating and, as we discussed, beneficial in many ways. Ultimately, it's up to you. So if you take anything from this episode, give journaling a consideration and maybe directly try it out if you haven't. You might be surprised with what you find during the process. And with that, we come to the end of today's episode. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye.